Hello, everybody, and welcome back to TARTLEcast. You are here with your hosts, Alexander McKegg and Jason Rigby. Jason, today we should speak about the differences between first-party data and zero-party data so that people have a little bit of clarity.
Yeah, I want people to understand what ZPD, zero-party data, is. It is the data that consumers intentionally and proactively share with the brand.
So,
what are some of the things that?
Yeah, so this is an interesting aspect, right? So when we have our members on TARTLE, right, millions of them, they are proactively building these data vaults of their information, things that companies currently do not have. And they can choose, they can select the characteristic on that data to say, I want to share this information. You got to pay me for it, but I want to share it. So everything you're going in there sourcing, it's just pure zero-party data coming from all of them. Now, the other really cool, interesting aspect about TARTLE, which has been a massive unlock, right, is how we also blend in first-party data. Now, typically in a world where company A and company B share the same customer, they don't share the same insights.
Yes, exactly.
Because in first-party data, as you know, the consumer, whoever the person may be, as they interact with that brand or that business is then generating data, right? They're building this first-party profile as you are interacting with their products or services. So how is first-party data now defined?
First-party data, FPD, is the data collected directly from your audience through their interactions with your brand's own channels. Maybe it's a CRM, maybe it's an app, maybe it's a website. It includes demographics, purchase history, on-site behavior. What I kind of want to let's take ZPD and FPD and make an example so people can understand. So let's say you're a global consumer brand and you want to work with TARTLE.
Yes.
And you have curiosities of maybe it's a drink or something like that, and you want to go to Indonesia, you want to go into Australia, and you want to go into Canada. How would that operation work?
Yeah, super cool. So like when brands come with us and say, hey, we have this idea of people we want to engage with. And we're like, okay, well, tell us a little bit about the characteristics of the people you want to engage with. Is it with your current members that you have? Do you want them using TARTLE technology so you can unlock those insights? Or do you want us to use our own member base, right? And then having that own member base, do you want them to then share those insights back with the brand because you've never interacted with those people before? So it's either fresh people or individuals that you are currently engaged with but can't get enough of that information out of them. Now, with the zero-party data, the most important aspect about this that brands get when working with TARTLE is intention.
Yes.
No, being able to garner from somebody what they intend to do and then observe them. And through your observation, did they do what they said they were going to do? That is your greatest measurement tool.
Yes.
That helps you de-risk almost everything in your business. And it tells you how to also engage and interact with these people. That unique delta between, hey, Jason, I told you I'm going to do this, and hey, Jason, this is what I actually did from you observing me.
Yes.
Does that tell you a lot about my character?
Yes.
Correct. Now, here's one of the other major unlocks now as the brands not only looking at ZPD, zero-party data, but they go into FPD, first-party data. Typically, and I was getting into this example earlier, when two brands share the same customer, those brands are isolated in silos from understanding what's going on with said brand B, okay? So brand A, sharing the same customer with brand B, doesn't know what relationship consumer has with brand B. Because there is also first-party data sharing, the consumer has the ability, legally with every right, to vault their data into TARTLE and then choose to share it any way they want. So if I was Adidas, I can understand what the first-party data is that Nike has with the consumer that I also share.
Yes, exactly.
And it's not like TARTLE is doing the unlock. No, it's the consumer who has the rightful ownership over the data is the key unlock.
Well, I would be, if I'm Adidas and we have these new Lululemon and Alo coming up, these new brands, and they're kind of a higher end luxury brands for sportswear, I definitely would want to have a conversation, and I could go directly to the consumer through TARTLE and say, what are some of the things you like about Alo? What are some of the things you like about Lululemon? You can, because everything is always like, and you know this with third-party data, you're trying to get that information in like this roundabout, passive aggressive.
I'm just watching. I've
spying,
never,
like
never
like
interacted.
like peeking around the corner, type
Screen scraping with massive
where,
binoculars.
where you can, through compensation, you can ethically have a conversation globally with millions and millions of people through the Tartle marketplace.
Right. And you can find out anything you want to know. You get your zero party data, you get your intention, you get your first party information, you get engagement, you get an actual relationship with these people, and you lean into the most important asset that the world is currently deficit of.
So I want to have people understand the Tartle marketplace in and of itself, why it's such a unique model, and why we believe that we're top of the hill for FPD and ZPD. There's two things. Number one is unmatched data quality. So zero and first party data collected directly from individuals. We get explicit consent. So that makes the data more accurate. It makes it more relevant. And then aggregated third party data where you're not. So can you kind of explain to people a little bit about getting consent? Like
the consent's important because it reduces the liability for you sourcing that data. So as a brand, people don't want to find out that you've just like been spying on them.
Right.
People are more apt to share behaviorally if you're having a engaging relationship with them rather than, why are you sending me like, say, an ad for this, or why are you calling me? How'd you get my phone number? Like, I don't want this. I don't want to interact with you.
Right.
I don't know who you are. So the difference here is that when you go through Tartle and you're working with them on consent on things that they want to share, and you're meeting them in the middle and you're transacting with them data for money and money for data, that builds a relationship that has historically ceased to exist.
Right.
But what puts us at the forefront is that we put all of these tools in the hands of the consumer to say you are in 100% control. But in doing so, that actually creates a huge unlock for so many different brands and so many different industries that have been starving for this information, but can finally get access to it because brand to brand wouldn't share it. But me as a person interacting with multiple brands can share everything about my interactions.
Well, what the cool part, and I think that's unique about this, that what our model is, not only do we have unmatched data quality, but we have ethical data practices. And this is really important because where are you getting your data from now? And there's a lot of data companies. You can go out there and purchase data.
Yeah.
A lot of companies. Where are they getting that data from?
Right.
Well, they're probably getting it from other vendors. Who knows where they're trying to get third-party data and they're an aggregation, type. But how do you know? Can you go all the way through
your supply chain of where that data came from
and know that it was ethically sourced?
Correct. So like when you're sourcing data on Tartle, it comes with a timestamp.
Yeah.
It's locked on a blockchain.
Yes.
You can see and verify that I went and ethically and appropriately sourced that information from that person with full consent. I gave them compensation and they shared that data asset back in return.
I love it.
For brands today, brands will lose a lot of goodwill if people find out that their data was sourced inappropriately.
Yes.
Or used inappropriately.
I mean, you're having this all the time.
You lose trust instantaneously.
Yes.
And guess what?
So why would they have a conversation with you? So let's say you go to send out a simple survey. Why would they have a conversation with you if 2 months before that you send them an email like, "Ooh, we're sorry, your password was."
Yeah. You know they're going to
share anything.
You know they're going to say, "Nah, bro, I'm not sharing."
And that's why I think it's so important to have Tartle, because we're that, I don't like to use the word third party, but we're that person that can come in that's already established the trust with your consumer and have a conversation with them, and it's not beholden to you. We've built the trust for you.
Right.
We're
independent of what your business operations are. We're not siding with any one particular party. This was built for everyone in every type of business.
Yeah, and the challenges of big data, there's three main ones. We talked about privacy concerns. We talked about data quality. I want to talk about data fragmentation. Tartle aggregates data from various sources, but we create a unified view of the customer. Can you talk about like the consumer profiles and how we're a whole person profile and what we're doing with that?
Sure. Yeah. So the unique part about Tartle is that this tool allows people to self-aggregate their information from everywhere. Tartle wouldn't have the processing power. We wouldn't have the time or the wherewithal to start amassing profiles of information on people all across the world like that totally unethical company called Palantir does. I think you've heard of it. Yes. We wouldn't have the ability to do it. So we weigh into people and their work and their time to build up essentially this storage of data and knowledge on them. Now, in doing so, everything, when they're using it, there are categories which they can then perfectly chunk off all these different aspects of who they are in terms of their zero-party data and first-party data. We call this the whole person profile. So on TARTLE, you can say, okay, I am looking for this type of person, like this cohort, this demographic, and I want these 15 elements from their whole person profile. I want to know this chunk of them that I otherwise couldn't get anywhere else on the internet. I'm going to do that, and I can go directly into TARTLE and say, hey, in 4 clicks of a mouse, I can source that from a crowd of 100,000 people, and they can willingly share it right over to me, and I can have such deep, rich insight, pre-structured, categorical insight directly on those individuals, right down to the personal level. You can't do that anywhere else.
No, you can't do that anywhere. And so when we're talking to data professionals, and I know there's a lot of chief data officers that listen to our podcast, I want to get into how our suite of tools and features can help you personally as a data professional. We already talked about real-time insights. You can gain insights. It's agile. It's data-driven. What does it look like when you're talking about data integration? How do we integrate with AI tools, with CRMs and stuff like that? And I know we have examples of how we do with healthcare and stuff like that.
Yeah, correct. So TARTLE was built to be very flexible for tying into many different types of systems. So we wanted to look at very default formats for how our servers can speak to yours. We have an open API system that can tie into and communicate with just about any sort of system in any sort of industry, from healthcare to CRMs that are in the automotive industry, and to AI or machine learning models that need to have, ready, synced, timely, frequent updates of information that have to go into their algorithms. All ways of doing that, we have it so it's simple to tie that in, speak to our technology to say, hey, these are my parameters, this is what I need, and I need it to come to me in an automated manner. We have all the suite of tools built out for you for full documentation to do that efficiently.
I love that, yeah.
So whether you want to come and work with us and say, hey, I want you guys to help us with this integration, or I already have a team of developers that will just use this and we can develop on top of it, TARTLE's ready to go for you.
I love that. Have you ever played the Fruit Ninja game?
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to talk about granular segmentation, how we slice and dice data.
We have
how do we identify customer segments, and then how can we tailor their strategy accordingly?
Mm-hmm. So like all things in life, you take a large pool of things and you sift them down, right? It's like always panning for gold. Companies do it all the time. Now, how do you pan for gold amongst data? Where do you find it? Where do you find those just nuggets of truth that are just so rich that you're like, wow, we can do some great things with this? TARTLE has built probably one of the strongest filtration systems in the world for filtering people down depending on how they're answering data for you. So let me walk you through a very simple example. I'm going out and I'm going to choose a demographic, say 18 to 34 in Australia. We'll use Australia. Now, I want to understand the larger pool of these people and say, okay, if this pool of people was given 2 choices, all right? And
beer or work?
Yeah.
Australians?
Yeah, beer or work, right? If they're given one of these 2 options, okay, and they choose one, the system builds out automations for you that can actually put them into individualized cohorts that allow you to then re-engage with that group.
Yes.
And so how you get information from them, you can design how they actually get sifted.
Yes.
And then from that, you have all these individual groups with a unique identifier that you can go back to and re-engage with into perpetuity in the future.
Yeah, that's cool. So I want to kind of get into some real world applications across industries and how this works. I know with healthcare, we develop personalized treatment. You can take our data, develop personalized treatment plans, predict disease outbreaks, enhance. And this is a big one that we're doing right now is enhance patient engagement.
Yeah, enhance patient engagement. So most of the time, the engagement rates in the healthcare industry are from like 1% to 3%.
Yeah, it's pretty dismal.
It's trash. I mean, I don't want to have a relationship with my healthcare plan.
I don't want to be sitting in the hospital and feeling shitty and have to fill out a survey.
No.
On a clipboard.
It doesn't work, or I have to sit down with a care management nurse for 2 hours for them to figure my life out. It wouldn't be great if I could just essentially put the bits and pieces of this together over time in an iterative format that's really beneficial for me and meets me where I am.
Yeah, and I get paid to do it.
Oh, super cool. So in the stance of healthcare, like one of the big things in one of our recent case studies dealt around things called notice of pregnancy. So just being able to understand when someone is pregnant okay, who that member might be for a healthcare plan, that allows the plans to then curate risk amongst that group and say, what resources can we get these mothers right now?
Yes.
Because
100%.
the outcomes of doing that early treatment and awareness and education around pregnancy reduces admissions into the NICUs, reduces long-term hospital stays for mothers post-birth. And so if you think about the chain here, if we can connect and engage with people, collect the data that we otherwise weren't collecting because our engagement rate sucked, and use a tool that helps get better outcomes from mothers and their babies and reduce hospital costs.
Yes.
Who wouldn't want to do something like that?
Yeah, 100%. And that's why we have some of the largest healthcare providers hopping on.
That's correct.
Finance, I want to get into this one. I think this is really cool. Improve risk assessment, detect fraud, and create tailored finance products. Before you go off, I want us to kind of go emerging markets, detect fraud in the finance industry. And then I know a lot of these financial institutions are using AI. How can we help their AI?
Okay, so typically, all right, when you're trying to determine risk, risk with Western banking laws says that if someone's in a specific country, they're high risk and they're immediately cut out of the system. We're not going to let them participate. So this makes it very difficult for people in economically developing nations to be a part of essentially the global banking system itself.
Yes.
And find opportunity to get credit and open up bank accounts and do all that other good stuff. Now, with TARTLE, because we have the ability to get into those difficult areas on planet Earth and source data from these human beings, you have the ability to assess risk based on their habits, based on their intentions, asking them to share documentation that was otherwise paper documentation, but share it to you in a digital format that you couldn't find anywhere else.
I love that. Yeah.
And so now when you do that, now you can actually start to build individualized risk models for those people. This is a huge unlock for those who want to say, hey, I know there's a massive opportunity because 60% of the people, across the world have difficulty accessing banking products. This is a major unlock. This is a huge revenue opportunity for people that are fintechs or banks that are really kicking off and say, hey, this is an untapped market. Well, the only way you can do it is to go to people directly using technologies like TARTLE to source that rich pool of data, get that intention, and develop a risk model that is truly unique and works for the person and not assuming they're a bad risk because they sit in a specific country.
Yeah, real world applications in marketing, and we've worked with a lot of different marketing companies where we target audiences, very precision, personalized campaigns. We're just not, shooting in the dark. And then also optimizing ad spend. I think this is really important. One of the things that we see right now is the competitive nature of some of these large ad companies. And then there's only so much space on a feed.
Yeah, and for them, they're bidding at higher and higher and higher prices to buy that space, but it's exhausting for people. Because first of all, they don't want to see it, and they're assuming they do. So the difference is now brands come to us and they say, hey, we want to advertise with you. Okay, well, let's evolve advertising. Let's not only show the content, but deliver it to qualified people.
Yes.
Right? And collect the data you need and get those people to take an action. Now, typically in the world of advertisements through Google and Meta, you're going to say, okay, cost per thousand, hopefully someone sees this. Hopefully I get them to show up to my website. I don't know what the hell is going to happen after the fact. But now what you're saying is I'm going to go to TARTLE and their members and say, this is the type of person I am looking for. And I want to show them this, collect this from them, and get them to go see the specific product on a web page.
Well, it's really cool. And I want people to understand this part also with TARTLE is not only can you have somebody see a video, not only can you show our members, let's per se an ad. Let's say you were doing a TARTLE ad. The cool part is you're collecting information from, these people. And then in turn, even if you wanted to use a big tech ad, the ads work the best when you have audience segmentation.
Right.
You can take that Excel sheet from TARTLE because you bought the data from the people. You got this first and zero-party data from them. You can take that, upload it into these large ads, and now you're speaking to the right people. Okay. You can also create lookalike audiences.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Right?
So not only do you have the ability to run ads with Tartle, you also get the audience. Who does that? Who gives you the audience?
Google won't give you their audience.
They're not going to give you.
You're
their
essentially
audience.
renting it from them, and there's no guarantee of quality.
You're renting it from them for a few seconds.
Yeah, for a few
You
seconds.
got to rent the next day.
And here's the
next
cool
day.
part. Say you got the person to go through this process, you qualify, and you're like, hell, I'll engage with that brand. Guess what you can do? You can engage with that specific person even further into the future.
Yes.
Do you know how much extra it costs you to go and retarget a person using an ad?
Oh, yes.
But the ad doesn't collect data for you, does it?
Mm-mm.
Does it give you customer intention?
No. Yes.
Does it force them to, like say, hey, like do this so you don't get something from it? It's like, no. Like there's a clear-cut transaction, interaction, and advertisement that is seen on Tartle, and you can't do that with the big boys.
Yeah, because it's always funny to me how we'll have conversations with companies and they kind of want to compare us with these big boys, and it's like you don't realize the suite of things that you're getting.
Yeah, you're getting like a less than 1-to-1 ratio with Google and Meta. You get like a 3-to-1 when you use Tartle.
Yeah, and you get to keep the information.
You get 3 times the benefit for every penny you put into the people.
It's so awesome. And then finally, e-commerce. Whether you're recommending products, and we're working with large e-commerce brands, anticipate customer needs and drive sales. When you're thinking of e-commerce and Tartle and that partnership, what does that look like to you?
Sure. So a majority of the major e-commerce brands use a system called Circana. It is prohibitively expensive. It's ridiculous. And the only person that benefits is Circana. So Circana is tied into the world SKU system for transactions. Say that, okay, I know diapers or shoe brand or whatever was purchased here at this point of sale system at this zip code, whatever. That's what they do. People pay millions of dollars a year to get access to just that. Do you know who the person was? Do you know why they purchased it? Were they borrowing someone's credit card when they did the purchase? What was the intention? It lacks all of the rich context. So the brands come to us and they say, hey, we need to augment this. First of all, we want to reduce our costs because Circana is ridiculously expensive. But we want to come to you and say, hey, can we engage with these people as a brand?
Yes.
Because Circana's not engaging with them.
No.
Again, it's a third party like Big Brother look on all this other stuff, and you're paying through the nose for it, but so is everybody else. You guys are all repurposing the same information, but have no bespoke, direct, unique insight that is really beneficial for you as an e-commerce brand. Well, guess what? You can do that with Tartle.
I love that. So partnering with Tartle, we know the future of data is ethical, transparent, and empowering, and Tartle is leading the charge with that. How do we partner? Like if I'm a company, whether I'm a marketing company or a healthcare company, how am I able to have a conversation with Tartle? Is it just as simple as
we are so easy to talk to? Most people have conversations with us and like there's no way it's that simple.
Yeah.
Do you know how many times we've gotten that in the past? They're like, it's no way that simple. And we have to explain again and again and again because repetition is the mother of all study. People are the unlock. And we are a tool that helps unlock those people. And we will help you and your brand unlock those people so you can unlock the data, so you can operate properly with real knowledge, with real insight. Get down to brass tacks. So call us on the phone, 833-243-3282. Email us. Our emails are all over our site. We're not hiding from any.
Yeah, you go to tartle.co/buyers and then click buy data. You can log
schedule
in.
an account. You can schedule like
we can do a bespoke.
like whatever you want to do.
We can have a 10-minute conversation.
We're not hiding. We're here to help. Just show up and be like, guys, don't sell me anything. Is this possible? And we'll tell you if it is, yes or no. Simple as that. So with that being said, thank you very much for listening to this episode. And we hope to see you guys again on TartleCast. Thanks for joining.